At this point, we have the ability to jump, and we also have the ability to move. And we also have the ability to make sure that the character does not knows that it's grounded, and if it's not grounded, then it can't move. So let's go ahead and start off adding some camera movement and a start position. But let's start off with the camera. So this is a 2D game. It doesn't matter how close, well, it kind of does, but reality, it doesn't matter how close the camera is to the player, is because it's an orthographic projection. There's no perspective here. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a camera, and we're going to name this camera movement. We're going to drop this onto our camera. And we're going to do public, actually not public, we're going to do game object, find the player. This part should look familiar. Find the player is equal to game object dot find, and we're looking for the name of the player, and it's player. It's a lowercase p. That's not the name of the tag, but the name of the player. And then what we're going to simply do is transform dot position. It's going to be equal to a new vector 2. And at vector 2, we have our X and Y position. And I don't want the camera to necessarily, it can fall with the player, but I don't want it to fall so much that if the player goes all the way down here, it goes with it. And let's move the player. Let's turn that off right now. So we definitely want the X position, which is the player moving back and forth. Find the player, transform dot position dot X, and then we're going to use 0 as our, we're not going to use 0. Let's go ahead and do this. No, we'll use the player. We'll go ahead and do that. And we'll hit build. This does not have a script on it. Let's drag this over to our main camera. There we go. Hit play, and we're there. Now, the only problem now is, for some reason, the camera is, it's 0 along Y, so I forgot to anticipate that. So I'm going to change this to a vector 3. I'm going to create a starting kind of a float, start Z position, pos for short, and then I'm going to do this is equal to transform dot position dot Z, and start, but not calculating it in update. Hold that value there, hit build, and there we go. Now We can create a little bit of an offset if we need to. And going to our camera, even though that this is a orthographic position, we can still adjust the size for what we need. We're not adjusting the position of the camera to make things closer or further away, because once again there's no perspective, but we can adjust the size to kind of fit what we need in there. Alright, another thing I want to do, since this is a box collider, what I want to do is in the rigid body, I want to constrain its rotations. So I'm going to freeze its Z rotation because I don't want it to tumble at all. And a little bit later on you'll see why. So right now I just want to get this basic movement in here. Now, we did talk about getting a start position for the player. So we're going to create a vector 2. Start position. And I really could make it a vector 3 just to be on the safe side, just in case something happens with a physics calculation where my player is no longer along Z in the Z position. Just to be on the safe side, even though we're primarily working in 2D space, but it does happen. And we're going to tell this start position to be equal to transform dot position. Let's add in a little bit more. Let's play around for a quick bit. What I'm going to do here is we have our direction, but I want to do some other things, a little bit overkill, and see what happens. So I'm going to do import dot get access, and horizontal is greater than 0, or if it's less than 0, or we'll go ahead and factor in our spacebar as well. So what this is doing is, if my horizontal bar is greater than 0, we're going right. If it's less than 0, we're going left. Let's see what's going on here. There we go. And let's see if that works. Alright. So I still should have the same functionality. What I want to do is this. And we're going to play around with velocity for a second, like we did last class. dot velocity is equal to direction. And we'll leave it as that. Still getting that jump. I really want to deal with that. Or do I want to do something else? I'm going to come back to velocity again. But we're going to put this in here because we're going to use this for some other things a little bit later. Alright. Let's go ahead and let's go ahead and do something simple. Let's do our coins. And this should look very familiar. And right now we're just prefabbing everything. So let's create another sprite. And let's plug in our knob. We're going to name this coin. And we're going to create a tag called coins. Now, with this, I'm also going to do something else. So I'm going to take this sprite, and it's not at 0. That's better. And what we're going to do is we're going to throw it in the game object. Coin geo. And let's center that. There we go. Now the coin, I'm going to go to component, and I'm going to go to miscellaneous, and I want animation, not animator, because I'm going to use their older animations and stuff. So we're going to go to animation. There we go. And what we're going to do now is go to window, animation. That opens up our animation window. I am going to create a new folder. So if I hit create, I'm creating the asset for my animation, which is going to hold my animation. So I hold all my animations in there. My new animation is going to be coin, spin, and vanish. And what we're going to do is add a property. We have our sprite renderer, and we have color. And then we're going to add another property, transform rotation. Now, this is, once I create it, it creates 2 frames, and Unity runs 60 frames per second. What I'm going to do is leave it as 1. This is my my time slider. This shows us what frame I'm on. My sample rate. This allows me to create a keyframe, and I can just select this main keyframe and move them where I want them to go. So what I'm going to very simply do, I need one more. Let's add another property. I need actual position as well. So the reason why this is in a game object is so that it maintains a local position. If I was to hit play on this animation, the animation would shoot to its local position that it was. But if I need to adjust the position of my game object, the coin resides in the game object. Its position is relative to the game object, which allows me a lot more freedom. If you don't do it this way, then you're going to run into some potential problems. But quite simply, we're going to go here, and I'm going to go up, and I'm going to spin it. That might be a lot, so we have that. And then as it spins, I want to grab my alpha, and I want to set it down here to 0, so that we get that. Now the next thing we need to do on the coin, so that's good to go, is I need to add in a box collider. And the other thing is turn it to a trigger, tag it, and we already have our rigid body on our player, so I don't need to add a rigid body to this. And what I will do is in animation, it has my animation. I want to turn off play automatically. And then in animation clip, I want to get my coin spin and vanish. It was already referenced in my array for my animations, but I want it here as well too. Yes. No. If I go back to animation, that's my start keyframe, and then the second down, those are my end keyframes. Yeah. If I wanted to, I could add that there, or I can just add it to my actual object just by, let's say, let's do position, and then let's say it, we go up to 1. So it goes up, comes down. You can do that as well. Alright, so what we're going to do is here on trigger enter, let's go ahead and group that. We're going to name this coins, and I'm going to check it, coins, good. So I'm going to do 3 things. 1, I'm going to turn off its collider. So I'm going to go to other .get component, collider dot enabled is equal to false. The other thing I'm going to do now is, because its renderer is going to be animated, I don't have to turn that off, but now I need to tell the animation to play. So since I only have one animation in here, we're going to go to other, I'm in the wrong place. Sorry about that. Other dot get component, and we want animation dot play. Let's test it. Did I change something? Oh, okay. So two things I need to do. Yeah, alright, so I forgot about this. Let me change this box collider. Let's remove that. And I need to change this to Physics 2D box collider. Collider 2D enabled. There we go. Coins, ground, true, false, build. Make sure that this is still tagged as ground. Trigger, all of that is good. This is simulated as grounded. This is causing me problems right now. I have to go back to this. Yes. There we go. And I hit it, and it plays. Now, two things I want to, that needs to happen. At some point, the animation will kind of stop. I want to make sure it doesn't cycle back. And I also want to tell this particular animation is wrap mode to only play once. So once I go to my actual animation, wrap mode once. And if it keeps playing or things start to bog down over time, I know I got to do something about stopping the animations at a certain point. But we have that. It works. That's what we want. And the only other thing we can add is a sound, but we can do that later. Now, let's get to the interesting stuff. We're going to create a moving platform. So I'm going to take this. Well, let's just do this over again because I know there was some confusion with it. So we're going to create a sprite. We'll move that out, and we're just going to. I'm going to use a knob again. Well, input field. And we're going to end up changing out what this looks like. We're not staying with this. We want that 0. Cool. And we're going to add a tag, and we're going to name this tag platform. First thing, we're going to add in 2 box colliders. 1, 2. 1 is for the player to land on. 1 is to calculate our trigger. The one that we use to calculate the trigger, doesn't matter which one we pick. We're going to offset it up slightly, maybe a little bit more, and we'll turn on our is trigger. Now, we need to write a script. And let's attach this class to this object. Come on, there we go. Cool. And I feel that this is a good time to stop